Hey, hero enthusiasts. Deku's cafe adventure continues in part 6, where he's unintentionally building quite the harem. Brace yourselves for laughs, surprises, and a latte love in the latest installment of Deku's Cafe Chronicles. On the day after the date, the orange-haired girl seemed completely lost with a silly smile on her face. It was clear what had happened, at least for Mina. Kyoka exclaimed in amazement, "Did you go karting?" Her friend nodded, and Kyoka expressed her envy, suggesting they should go sometime. Mina proposed, "When all this is over, how about we all go together?" The purple-haired girl agreed. Ochako mentioned she couldn't drive. Kendo offered to teach them, reassuring them not to worry about it. Mina, after establishing that, paused dramatically and asked, "So? How was it?" Kendo blushed, recalling the day. "Well," she began, "aside from what Yaoirozu-san said, he just drives, that's all." She blushed a bit. Ochako teased her, saying, "Your face gives you away." Kendo admitted, "It was just a good moment with him, that's all. He's very kind." Mina, looking at the positive side, said, "Well, it wasn't what I expected, but something is better than nothing. I'll see what I can discover on my turn." Momo wished her luck, and Mina jokingly said, "If I fail, it's all in your hands, Ochako-chan." She smiled at Ochako, who nodded in agreement. Kyoka, lying on her bed, remarked, "You're exaggerating a bit. Is it because your date isn't until the end?" Mina teased her friend, who just raised her plug in response. Kyoka, feeling a bit down, expressed her concern about using Izuku for their plans, as if they were doing something wrong. Mina passionately defended Izuku, describing him as a good, noble, and brave guy. She revealed the hidden motive behind the operation, worried about potential rumors tarnishing Izuku's reputation. Ochako, understanding Mina's perspective, hugged her and offered more reasons to support her. Mina thanked her friends, acknowledging them as the best she could ask for. She planned the date with insights from her friends and her knowledge from novels and romance shows. Nervous but determined, Mina met Izuku at a restaurant, then planned a visit to the park and finally an arcade. During the date, they talked, ate, and had fun. Izuku complimented Mina, who tried to keep her composure but found it challenging. Despite some awkward moments, the day ended with Izuku tired but happy. Mina whispered her plan moments before the date, "Well, just a restaurant, then the park, and finally the arcade. I'm still nervous though." Being with Izuku was incredibly pleasant, and she knew the power he had with his amiable and cinnamon roll personality. From a distance, the freckled guy, dressed surprisingly normal in a light sweater with a shirt underneath, jeans, and his iconic red sneakers, appeared. "Midori-kun." Mina tried not to seem nervous but failed. "Wow, you look incredible. You seem like you're from another world," he complimented in his classic style. "This? It's nothing. It's just me being me," she smiled, feeling the nerves emerging. He wasn't much different from his usual extravagant style with a black and neon pink tank top, jeans, and sandals. "Now I understand why they fall so easily. He's adorable." She mentally scolded the raven-haired and orange-haired girls. "The usual Mina is incredibly amazing," he praised, making her blush a bit. "Midori-kun, you're really flattering. Anyway, you're excellent on a date. You make it feel good, and coming from someone as genuine as you is the best thing," she said, smiling at him, making him feel a bit embarrassed. "Come on, I'm a bit clumsy in all this. I don't have much knowledge of these things," he admitted. "I'll teach you what little I know today so you can surprise Ochako-chan and the grumpy Kyoka. Just let me guide you, and above all, be yourself," she said, taking his hand, and they walked through the city streets. She led him to the usual places for a date, starting with a Japanese restaurant where they ordered katsudon at his request. "Do you really like katsudon so much?" she asked, giggling, as he stared intently at the meat on the plate. "It's my favorite dish, and if it weren't for Uncle Masaru, I'd probably only eat this." "It's not bad," he replied, moving the meat a bit before tasting it. "That would turn you into a minion, a fluffy adorable bunny," she teased, making him chuckle. "That's why I don't do it, besides the lack of certain proteins. Still, I like to eat it from time to time," he said, and she smiled. "That's why a favorite food is special. If you ate it all the time, it loses its charm," she agreed. The next stop was a stroll in the park to digest their food. They chatted about anything, from simple hobbies to more personal matters, enjoying the time together. "This is very relaxing," he commented as they stopped on a bench to rest. "I told you it was fun even if it doesn't seem like it," she said, and he disagreed, finding it enjoyable in a way that allowed him to get to know her better. It seems like time stops just by being here, she gave her somewhat silly opinion. I agree with you, Mina-san, he said, confirming her thoughts. What's the next place? He asked excitedly. The final step in Mina's plan was the arcade, a place she loved to visit in her free time, though lately, with all the work, she hadn't had the chance. I'm not good at the dance machine, Mina. I have 2 left feet, he admitted, and she was excited about this. Even if you have 2 left feet, please, it's not the same if I'm alone. Please, she pleaded, and he sighed. Okay, but you'll beat me easily, he said, standing next to her as she smiled. That doesn't matter. Having fun is the main thing, she smiled, choosing a song. Indeed, Izuku didn't know how to move, and it was a total embarrassment. Still, he tried alongside one of the best dancers in 1A, so he had fun with the pink-haired girl. At the end of the day, he was exhausted but quite happy with such a splendid date. On Sunday morning after Mina's appointment, and as punishment for not bringing sweets to Himiko, Izuku went to buy things for lunch. He had no idea what to make, but Mom wanted some fish, so he was looking for something to surprise her. It had to be very precise. Izuku wondered, I wonder what would be better. In the seafood section, he got a couple of ideas. Kanoko, a mushroom-haired girl who had recently been with his friends, suggested, I recommend the shrimp, Midoriya-san. Izuku greeted her and asked if she was also thinking about what to cook. She admitted she wasn't good in the kitchen but recommended shrimp. Uncertain, Izuku said, I don't know. I'll keep that in mind. Meanwhile, I'll look for the rest. He offered to help Kanoko with her bags, and she showed him her shopping list, embarrassed. Izuku suggested accompanying her and helping, to which she nervously agreed. On the other side of the city, the weekly girls' meeting had arrived. Mina was unusually lively due to her time with Midori-kun. Kyoka teased her, asking if she had a good time. Mina admitted that Midori-kun was incredible and shared some insights. Kyoka then asked how Midoriya had enchanted Yamomo and Kendo. Momo explained that Midoriya's demeanor varied based on the setting, being cordial at work and casual on a date. The conversation turned to Ochako, who wondered if Midoriya would charm her too. Kyoka advised her not to do it if she didn't want to, but Ochako admitted curiosity after hearing how Midoriya behaved with everyone. Mina reassured them, predicting success for Ochako. As they enjoyed their time with Izuku, the next date was approaching, the only free day they had due to UA's demanding workload. The end of the quarter brought increased pressure, making occasional breaks essential. When Ochako found Midoriya on Saturday, he wore a hoodie with a hawk's print, denim pants, and his iconic red sneakers. Izuku, Uraka-san, he was happy to see her. How cute, he exclaimed with excitement as he looked at her. Ochako, eh? Izuku approached and took her shoulders, Midoriya-san? Izuku, your jacket is adorable. It was a fluffy bear-themed jacket, one of her best outfits. Ochako, thank you, she smiled at him. Izuku, it just makes your adorableness stand out even more, he smiled at her, making her blush. Ochako, now I understand what they have to deal with, too much charisma for her own good. Izuku, are you okay? You're blushing, he took her chin and looked at her closely. Ochako, completely fine, she was too adorable, and his green eyes seemed to shine like emeralds. Setting that aside, she pulled back a bit, smiling nervously, shall we? Izuku, sure, he took her hand and walked seemingly without a specific destination. Ochako, sorry, Kyoka-san, but if he continues like this, I'll end up in his clutches. Holding hands was something she didn't expect. Her only other date was before UA, a complete disaster. That guy was so strange that she couldn't keep up, and it ended badly. Either way, where are we going? Izuku, it's a surprise, he said with an innocent smile. Mina-san said it would surprise you, so I listened to her. With curiosity piqued, they walked for a couple of minutes before arriving at an amusement park. She was thrilled as she hadn't been to one since childhood when her parents took her after much effort. Now, she was there with him. Izuku, ready? The brunette looked at him and then at the park. Ochako, of course, now, she was the one leading, dragging him wherever she pleased. The first stop was the roller coaster. She was excited in the queue and kept telling him how thrilled she was, grateful for the whole experience. Izuku, not looking too excited, was mainly thinking about the nausea that would follow. They screamed with each twist and turn, having more fun than expected, especially Izuku, who didn't vomit to his pleasant surprise. Then, they went to the freefall ride themed after All Might, which almost gave them a heart attack but was fun. Next was the Titan's Arm, a huge contraption with many seats in a circle that spun while moving from side to side. Here, Izuku's stomach couldn't handle it, and he rushed to a trash can to deposit his breakfast. They decided to take a break before something worse happened. Izuku, does your quirk help you handle nausea? She nodded. I envy you in this situation. My stomach feels like a tornado. Oh Chaco, it'll pass, that's why I carry water. She handed him a bottle, and he instantly started drinking. Izuku, thanks, he relaxed on the bench they were sitting on. Uraka-san, you're incredible. Not too dizzy with such a cool quirk. They surely need to be careful with you when you become a hero. He complimented her, and she smiled. Oh Chaco, I do my best, but there's still a long way to go. I still get dizzy with my quirk after prolonged use or with too much weight. I still have a lot to do. She looked thoughtful. Izuku, I think you're doing great. He touched her hand, bringing her back to reality. Your parents are probably proud of the splendid and beautiful girl you're becoming. The girl smiled with a noticeable blush on her face. Oh Chaco, thank you, Midoriya-san. They looked directly into each other's eyes, losing themselves for a moment. Not bad for their date. The meeting happened again in Kyoka's room, but this time Ochako was affected by the charming freckled guy. It was clear from her smile and the peaceful atmosphere that she enjoyed the date a lot. Mina, so, how was it? Oh Chaco, I was surprised by going to an amusement park, and I can also say it's not much different from his normal self. Mina, we only have one more chance. They looked at the purple-haired girl with headphones and writing in her notebook. Kyoka, huh? Is something wrong? She took off her headphones and looked at her friends. Kendo, you're the only one left, so. Mina, Kyoka-chan, you're our last hope. Kyoka, shouldn't we be doing the homework Cementos-sensei gave us? Because it's too long. The pink-haired girl froze, she hadn't even started. Momo, I finished it last week when he assigned it. I'm just fixing a couple of paragraphs, so I can be free today. Kyoka, and you too? Oh Chaco, I just need to finish it, and I'll be done with it. Kyoka, and you, Mina? Mina remained silent. Oh Chaco, don't tell me you haven't done it. Mina, I've been busy. Momo, Mina-san, you can't neglect such a task, especially halfway through the week. It's extensive. Mina, I'll go do it. See you another day, girls. Kendo, that's tough. The gloomy Wednesday arrived, the time to submit Cementos' final assignment. Luckily, Mina managed to submit it with everyone. One less problem for the day, but it didn't end there. The last class of the day was hero training in pairs. Doesn't sound too hard, right? A simple scenario, hostages in a moving vehicle, following Aizawa-sensei and All Might's instructions. But things got complicated when your partner was Bakugo, especially if you were one of his least favorite people, like Kyoka. The situation couldn't have been more disastrous. Aizawa, that's enough. Bakugo. Jiro. Here, now. Katsuki, why can't you follow a damn order, earphone jack? It was simple. Kyoka, do you even hear yourself? You can't follow a damn order. We're literally being taught. It's not an exam or something that lets us off the hook. It's all guided to understand the situation. Katsuki, you. He raised his hand, but the dark-haired guy stopped him. Aizawa, that's enough. Jiro, you did well. You followed the orders with precision, you just need more confidence in your steps. You can improve. Kyoka, understood, sensei. Aizawa, as for you, Bakugo, don't you understand the instructions? It was a simple exercise, a vehicle at a certain distance. All you had to do was release small explosions to divert the route and wait for confirmation from your partner. Katsuki, I could have ended it there and saved the dummy. Why not do it? All Might, because that's not the idea of the exercise, young Bakugo. There were missing factors you didn't know, and if it were a real situation, you lacked data. It could have ended with your death or even the deaths of multiple people. Even his idol scolded him. Katsuki, please, even like this, I could save the useless hostage. I don't need useless partners. All Might, is that your final excuse? Katsuki, it's not an excuse, it's the truth. Both teachers exchanged glances, the blonde American with some sadness towards his dark-haired companion. Aizawa, I'll handle this. The symbol of peace nodded to leave with Bakugo's classmates. Aizawa, Jiro, go. The girl nodded to leave with the other teacher. Bakugo, I regret to say this. You truly have great potential, like few I've seen, but you can't work in a team. Frankly, you're too troublesome, so I have no other choice. He sighed, ready for what was coming. You are expelled from UA. Katsuki, WH. What? You must be joking. Aizawa, no, I've talked a lot with Director Nezu, and you haven't improved much in teamwork. You've challenged every teacher, and above all, you've gotten into a lot of trouble since you entered here. We had no other choice. He left, leaving the boy paralyzed. His world collapsed. The purple-haired girl was very tense. Honestly, anyone who spoke to her about some nonsense would get a punch that would leave them seeing stars. She couldn't stand Bakugo and his nonsense. She knew he would do something stupid if he got in her way, so she went to the only place where she could completely relax. Izuku, welcome to the Hero Mouse, Kyoka-san. The boy smiled at her, as always, making her feel much calmer. Kyoka, Izuku. She approached, sitting down, and instantly, the cat appeared. Meow, Cookie smelled the girl and then approached to rub against her face. Kyoka, hello, little one. She weakly smiled at the cat that kept trying to cheer her up. Izuku, rough day? She nodded. Bakugo? She nodded again. Not just that. I had trouble printing part of my homework for Cementos-sensei. I almost didn't submit my work, and to top it off, I have to work with Bakugo, who almost made me fail the exercise if it weren't for Aizawa-sensei. She sighed, falling back onto the bar. Izuku, at least the day is over. She nodded. Here you go. He placed her favorite smoothie in front of her and smiled. Kyoka, thanks. She stood up and took the glass. And also. He pulled out a cupcake that somehow reminded her of the freckled guy. Kyoka, what's this? She asked playfully. Izuku, it's a kazuku. You always say I'm a little cake or sweet, so I made these. The girl took it in her hands. It was quite identical to the freckled guy. Just for my closest friends. When you really feel like you can't take it anymore, I'll be there, even if I'm just a dessert. Kyoka, you're incredible. Thanks, Izuku. She took a bite of the cupcake's head. As sweet as the real thing. Izuku, I'm glad you like it. He smiled at the girl, who already felt much better. On Saturday, I don't know if you want to. Kyoka, I want to. She didn't let him finish. I might not know much about dates and all, but really spending time with you is incredibly relaxing. With everything that happened today and the upcoming exams, I really want to do it. She smiled at the boy, who nodded without any problem. It would be extremely fun to be with the purple-haired girl. She was nervous about this idea. She just wanted to hide in her closet and stay there forever because she didn't want to pity the boy. She was extremely nervous and didn't even know what to wear. She didn't talk to her friends about this because it would take forever, and in the end, she would just say no and hide in bed. Still, she wanted to go. She wanted to do this to relax her mind. Mika, sweetheart? Her mother noticed something strange on Friday and, of course, went to find out, is something wrong? Kyoka, a couple of things, she spoke, looking at the ceiling. The good ones are that they got rid of the annoying guy we had as a classmate. He was a nuisance and very annoying. Mika, but that's not what's bothering you. She knew her daughter very well. You'd be with your father composing something if that were the case only. Her daughter made an indecisive face. Are you upset? Kyoka, more like undecided, not giving many details. Mom, if you had a date, she was very nervous about all this. How would you dress? She spoke with a slight blush of embarrassment. Mika, honestly, it would be something comfortable, and if it's with your father, definitely something a little flirtatious. It's fun to see him get nervous. She spoke with a smile. Wait, are you going out with someone? She didn't take long to connect the dots. Did you ask Izuku for a date? She squealed excitedly. Kyoka, it's not. Her mother made a rather mocking face. That easy to figure out? Mika, he's the only boy you've fallen for, her daughter continued in her own world. Kyoka, you know? I could have mentioned some other boy or friend I have. She looked at her mother, who looked at her incredulously. Mika, it would be hardly believable, to be honest when you're so attached to the broccoli boy. She teased the boy, making her daughter sigh. And what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? She was very excited about the idea of the date. Kyoka, who knows? I haven't thought about it. First, I want to know what to wear. She looked at her wardrobe as if it were a giant mountain. I don't want to suddenly appear and have him think I don't make an effort or something like that. She got depressed pretty quickly with this. Mika, sweetheart, she hugged her sad daughter. relax. I know Izuku finds you charming just as you are, and if you want, we have to get him out. She looked at her nervous daughter. Kyoka, and how are we going to do that? Her mother just got up and opened her wardrobe. I don't think there's anything in there that can help us. Mika, are you comparing yourself to your friends, right? Her daughter lowered her gaze. She had caught her. They have their charm in their own way, and you have yours. Maybe they look like fairy tale princesses, but you know? There are many more reasons to look good. You, for example, don't look like someone who would wear a pompous and brightly colored dress. Kyoka, but that's what guys like, she murmured, recalling past bad experiences. Mika, sweetie, you and I know that Izuku is not a normal guy. You can be genuine with him, and we're going to get him out, she smiled at her daughter, who sighed. They spent the whole afternoon planning what she would do on the date. Her mother got so involved in her clothes to make her look like what she was, the warrior girl who was not afraid of anything and who laughed and mocked the normal. It was a good way to lift the girl's spirits before the big evening, as she declared it would be. When Saturday came, she prepared as best as possible. Along with her mother, she chose the best from the wardrobe, and honestly, she didn't remember buying the clothes, but she wasn't going to complain now. A white shirt from a band that had long since split, a leather jacket owned by mom, jeans that fit snugly enough not to be uncomfortable, and the most comfortable sneakers she could have, plus the light makeup her mom forced her to put on and, of course, fixing her enough to attract the freckled boy to her claws even if she didn't want that. Kyoka, it's supposed to be here, she sighed in front of Midoriya's apartment door. When she said it, she thought it would be funny, seeing her parents scandalized because their perfect boy would go out with a bad girl. Now she was terrified. Here I go. After a couple of breaths and self-convincing, she knocked on the door calmly, and they didn't take long to open. Himiko, who is it? A blonde opened the door, to her surprise. Kyoka, hello. I'm looking for Izuku. She began to feel silly if she had made a mistake. Himiko, oh, you're the girl who's stealing my partner today, huh? She pouted, confusing the girl. Kyoka, what do you mean? Himiko, hey, Izu, they need you here. Your date is here, she spoke with a smile, further confusing the purple-haired girl. Izuku, I'm coming, his voice came from afar, and when Kyoka looked inside the house, she could see a green-haired lady at the table holding back laughter. Kyoka, is that his mom? I see where he got the adorableness, she thought to herself when she saw the boy coming out of a room and running towards the door. Izuku, Kyoka-sa, he stopped when he got close to the blonde girl. Kyoka, what's up, Izuku? She felt nervous under the boy's gaze. Himiko, hey, don't scare her, the girl gently hit her friend, who reacted. Izuku, you look radiant. I feel like I'm in front of a supermodel. He was completely sincere, causing a massive blush on the girl. Not just the clothes, I hadn't seen you wearing earrings before, they look amazing, and that necklace highlights your eyes. The girl emitted smoke from her head due to so many compliments. Himiko, don't kill her with love, please, she teased the boy, who looked at her with some embarrassment. Anyway. Good luck, she closed the door, leaving both of them outside. Izuku, she's crazy, huh? She was Himiko Toga, the girl I mentioned. The purple-haired girl was still dazed. Kyoka-san? Kyoka, huh? Yes, I'm fine, she smiled brightly at the boy, who sighed. You look great too. She looked away so that her blushing wouldn't be so obvious. Izuku, if I'm going out with you, I have to wear the best in my wardrobe, he declared proudly, not much different from his other dates, wearing a red hoodie with a black shirt underneath and his black pants along with white sneakers this time. Kyoka, so when you went out with the other girls, you didn't make an effort, huh? She teased her friend. Izuku, hey, I also made an effort and a lot to look good. I didn't know what to wear, and I just thought of the first thing that came to mind, he excused himself. Kyoka, I'm just kidding, Izuku, she smiled at the boy, who sighed, come on, there's a lot to do. She took him by the hand, and they ran away from the place. They went to the mall. There was something she had planned to do since she found out, and knowing enough about the freckled boy, she knew that not only would it make him happy, but he would be like a little kid in a candy store, nothing more and nothing less than. Izuku, do you have tickets for a trip with my super partner to the center of the earth? A new movie from a saga they were both fans of. Kyoka, hey, they were hard to get, but, they were in front of the cinema about to watch a very good movie, here we are. Izuku, that's incredible. I thought I had to sell my kidney to go see it, he couldn't help but hug his friend, thanks, Kyoka-san. The ironic thing was that it wasn't a recent movie, it was quite old and hard to get, let alone see it in theaters. Fortunately, Kyoka had read about a special cinema that showed these old movies, and their tickets were absurdly expensive because they were unknown and old films. Izuku, wow. It turned out as bad as I expected, he said with humor. Its quality was very mediocre. Kyoka, yup, and yet the story is endearing. Who would have thought that a snowman with a pumpkin head could be so dramatic about going to the center of the earth, she said, referring to the movie's context. Izuku, hey, it wasn't that bad. He even sacrificed himself for his friends to escape from the center of the earth, he countered the girl. Kyoka, the post-credits scene counters you. He lived happily in the center of the earth, the boy sighed defeated. Izuku, anyway, are you hungry? My treat, the girl nodded as they walked together to a fast food place. They talked about random things that had happened during the week. The long-awaited break for the purple-haired girl had come, and she even forgot why this date was planned in the first place. They simply enjoyed going nowhere together, chatting about anything, mainly movies, and how the girl used musical instruments, which was highly interesting for the freckled boy. They didn't even realize the time passing from afternoon to night. Izuku, wow. Bakugo is probably devastated right now. He must feel horrible, and the best part was he couldn't blame anyone but himself. Kyoka, he deserves it for being foolish. This time, as it was getting late, she accompanied her date to his house. Izuku, is this it? He looked at the quite homely place. Kyoka, yes, she felt sad. She had spent a good time with the boy. Izuku, I had a lot of fun today, Kyoka-san. He smiled at the girl who reciprocated the gesture. I also had fun with Yamomo, Kendo-san, Uraka-san, and Mina-san, but I don't know, ending it with you made it more special somehow. He couldn't explain himself well. Kyoka, I'm glad to hear that. I also had fun with you. Looking directly into the boy's eyes, she couldn't resist the impulse. Thanks for the wonderful day, Izuku. Izuku, to you too. He felt captured by the girl's eyes. Kyoka, she didn't think much, stretched, and before saying anything else, she gave him a kiss on the cheek, leaving the boy blushing and paralyzed in his place. It's a little gift for being so adorable, don't tell anyone, okay? She winked, somewhat teasing, and ran towards her house. See you on Monday. Izuku, yes, his mind short-circuited with that kiss. Her lips are soft. With that thought, he moved towards his home. The weekly meeting was surprisingly quiet. The girl from the date seemed very distracted, only looking out the window and giving short, vague answers. Something was up, and the others wanted to know. Mina, what happened on the date? Kyoka remained silent, just staring out the window. Mina, Kyoka-chan, did something bad happen? Kyoka, nothing bad happened, Mina. We watched a bad movie we both like, had dinner, and talked. Kyoka remembered the kiss and blushed. Momo, and then? Kyoka, since it was late, he just walked me home. Kendo narrowed her eyes, skeptical. Ochako, anything else? Kendo, Kyoka-san, I know something else happened. Mina, what are you hiding? If it's relevant, please tell us, Kyoka-chan. Kyoka, it's not relevant. I already told you about Izuku, there were no differences in our dates. Momo, still, you're hiding something, right? Ochako, we promise not to tell, Kyoka-san. You're safe here. Kyoka hesitated but then confessed, I gave him a kiss. Mina, you did what? Momo, what did she say? Mina, you kissed him? Kyoka, it was just a kiss on the cheek. It felt really good. Momo, how romantic. Mina, that's a game changer. Kyoka, why aren't you mad? Kendo, why should we be? Kyoka, because I stepped out of line and did something we didn't agree on? Momo, Mina-san already said it. We're not just doing this to control Midoriya-san's unintentional flirting. We're having fun too, and if you felt good with that kiss, it's all part of your good date. You can't blame yourself for that. Ochako, it was all within the context of your nice date. Don't feel guilty about it. Kyoka, I don't know. I feel somewhat guilty, you know? Mina, don't be silly. You just took an opportunity to get to the heart of our dear cinnamon roll. Ochako, competition? Mina, just kidding, Ochako-chan. Anyway, how did he react to the kiss? Kyoka, I don't know. I was so embarrassed that I went straight to bed when I got home. Momo, that makes sense. You did well, Kyoka-san. Meanwhile, on the other side, Izuku was still dazed by the unexpected kiss. Himiko, I think we lost. Inko, He's just stunned by what happened on his date. Himiko, is it weird to get a kiss on the cheek? Inko, it is if you're not used to it. Let him process it all, Himi-chan. Himiko, what happens now? Are they a couple? Inko, that depends on Izuku and the girl. Knowing he's been on dates with other girls, it's uncertain. A perfect date doesn't always lead to a relationship, though it's a good start. Izuku, wait, a relationship? Himiko, oh. He's blushing again. Inko, he'll be like that for a while. Come, accompany me for shopping. He could sleep in relative peace that night. He didn't know how, but he managed to break free from his cycle of thoughts and have dinner peacefully with his mother and Himiko. During his morning training, he managed to distract himself enough not to dwell on that small detail. He still didn't know how to feel about it, only that he got excited thinking about it. Izuku, Himi-chan, what are you doing? The blonde was looking very seriously at the cat, and the cat was staring back at her. Himiko, before you guys go to work, I want to earn the affection of this fluffy cat. She looked at the cat with suspicion, and the cat returned the look. Meow. The cat was very serious in front of the girl. Izuku, and how do you plan to do that? The girl just smiled, pulling out a bag that the freckled boy recognized well. Are those Gietta's favorites? Himiko, hee hee. This is the deal, Gietta. You let me pet you, and in return. She took out some cat cookies and offered them to the feline. You'll have as many as you want. Meow. The cat approached the girl, eating those cookies and letting the blonde pet him. Himiko, look, Izu. I did it. She spoke with excitement. Izuku, congratulations, Himi-chan. He smiled at the girl, who continued excitedly petting the cat. That's how his day began, trying to shift his thoughts from that event. However, just opening his cafe brought back that memory, and instantly, he became nervous, not knowing the meaning of that kiss. He had many doubts and felt very anxious, which could be seen from afar. His first customers of the morning noticed how nervous the boy was, though the freckled boy tried to ignore what happened in the morning. Kyoka, hello. The girl seemed as nervous as he was in the morning. Izuku, hello, Kyoka-san. How is your morning going? He spoke tensely to the girl. Kyoka, quite well for a Monday. I feel very happy today. Although she seemed very tense. And how is Gietta? She petted the cat, who was very comfortable purring on the girl's lap. Izuku, he's perfect. Today, Himi-chan managed to get close. He explained nervously. Kyoka, so, you already have a nickname for him, huh? Her teasing was to lighten the mood. Izuku, she made an effort for me to give him one. She really wants to change, and I'll support her in that, he declared courageously. Kyoka, as sweet as always. Her teasing continued, causing a blush in the boy and then in her. Sorry, it's just that, well. Izuku, no worries, I understand. He turned very red in a short time. Do you want something? Kyoka, a coffee to go, please, and 2 cinnamon rolls. Mina will probably want one. She spoke with her gaze on the cat, who tilted his head, confused by what the girl was doing. Izuku, understood. Without further ado, he went to the kitchen, leaving the atmosphere tense. The girl didn't know how to act with the boy now that she had done that. Kyoka, I don't know what to do, Gietta, she murmured to the cat, who just settled more comfortably on the girl's legs. This situation is very difficult. Izuku, here's your order. He spoke as naturally as he could. Kyoka, thank you, Izuku. She put the cat aside, took her order, and stood up. See you in the afternoon. Mina will probably tell you what she learned about dating. Izuku, then see you in the afternoon. He smiled at the girl, who left, smiling at the freckled boy. That was the bravest thing I've ever done in my life. He relaxed against the counter, almost breathless. Why is it so difficult to talk to him now? The morning seemed endless after that. He managed to calm down enough to work optimally and forget what happened in that splendid date. Just remembering it made him turn as red as a strawberry. He needed to stop that. Izuku, welcome to the heroic mouse, Aunt Mitsuki. To change things up, his dear aunt had arrived and looked somewhat tense. Mitsuki, hello, Izuku-chan. She sat in front of the boy, who was starting to get nervous seeing his aunt so upset. Izuku, is everything okay? The blonde smiled at the boy, she couldn't hide her displeasure. Mitsuki, I don't know if you knew, but Katsuki was expelled from UA. The freckled boy pretended surprise at the news. I hoped UA would put a stop to him, which I couldn't, but even they couldn't handle my useless son. He's been so bad this week, he hasn't left his room at all. Izuku, I'm sorry to hear that. Still, His aunt looked very upset. Mitsuki, I know he did a lot wrong and deserved that expulsion, but. She lowered her gaze with a lot of disappointment. I was hoping he would make it. Izuku, you can't blame yourself for that. Katsuki messed up, and no matter how hard he tries, he won't change that easily. He needed to hit a brick wall that he couldn't explode. The blonde sighed. Mitsuki, I hope he gets through this. Without saying more, she looked at the green-haired boy. That's why I'm here. Do you have any lemon dessert? He really likes sour and spicy things, so I thought it might cheer him up a bit. Izuku, let me think. It's not like he specialized in that, honestly, sweet items were much more popular than others, so that's where his focus was. Besides lemon pie, no, it's not something I handle, unfortunately. Mitsuki, I'll take one if you're kind enough. The boy nodded, going for that dessert. Izuku, I say this completely seriously, I hope Katsuki can move forward. He quickly returned with a box for the woman. Mitsuki, I hope so too, she murmured something low, looked at the freckled boy, and noticed something in him. Are you okay, Izuku-chan? Izuku, sort of. It could be what he needed at the moment. I had a date with a friend, and. His aunt opened her eyes with surprise, and a smile crossed her face. She gave me a kiss on the cheek, and now I don't know what will happen. Mitsuki, my little Izuku-chan is growing up. She wiped away a fake tear and smiled at the boy. Do you like the girl? Izuku, well, she's cute, adorable, and extremely fun, but. Mitsuki, you don't want to risk your friendship by not knowing how to handle things, right? The freckled boy nodded. I don't know, Izuku, you'll have to talk to that girl, but if you really want something serious, you'll have to take the risk and ask for it. If you don't feel ready for a relationship, you can talk about it, believe me, that solves a lot. His dear aunt advised. Izuku, I feel like it will be very awkward, he murmured without convincing himself. Mitsuki, it's only awkward if you make it awkward. Have confidence in yourself, little one, you'll see that everything will be resolved. She smiled at the boy, who nodded. Izuku, thanks for the advice, Aunt Mitsuki. The blonde stroked the boy's unruly hair before taking the box. Mitsuki, good luck with the girl, Izuku-chan. Without more, the woman left, leaving the pensive boy behind. At the same moment, something was happening at UA. Just like with the green-haired boy, the girl was deeply lost in her thoughts, going through the same loops as the freckled boy. She couldn't concentrate much to her misfortune, and that was evident throughout the first part of the day, which, of course, led her to face Midnight, who smiled at her with some compassion. Kyoka, am I in trouble? The teacher denied it with a smile. Midnight, something happened to you in the last few days, right, Jiro-chan? The girl became nervous once again. Kyoka, I think I messed things up with a guy. She admitted, knowing the teacher wouldn't say anything. Midnight, what did you do? She spoke slowly not to startle the girl. Kyoka, it was supposed to be a normal outing, nothing romantic, but I don't know what happened, and at the last moment, I gave him a kiss on the cheek. Her teacher smiled tenderly. Midnight, there's nothing wrong with that if there's enough trust. She commented to the girl. What is scaring you? Kyoka, it's not like I've had many romances in the past. When I went out with some guys, I always confused things and ended up messing them up. I know he sees me as a girl, and he thinks I'm pretty, but. She lowered her gaze. Midnight, you still have that fear that he'll distance himself from you because of something like that, right? The girl nodded slowly. Kyoka, I might be traumatized, but I really don't want things to get awkward with him. He's the only guy with whom I truly feel a connection. Her teacher almost melted with love at that. Midnight, then you have nothing to fear. If you're so close, just clarify things, talk about what happened, and understand things. That way, the atmosphere won't become uncomfortable. She advised her student. Kyoka, and if? Her teacher silenced her. Midnight, don't ask that. You'll fill yourself with nerves, and it will prevent you from talking to him. The purple-haired girl nodded. Trust yourself, Jiro-chan, and above all, trust that feeling in your heart, okay? The girl nodded. Kyoka, thanks, Midnight-sensei. She felt a weight lifted off her shoulders with that talk. Both parties could continue their day relatively peacefully, keeping in mind that they needed to clear things up and figure out what to do from there. Kyoka was somewhat afraid that their friendship would end with this, but as her teacher said, there was no time for that, she had to be strong no matter how scared she was. So here she was, being the first to run to the cafe and freezing at the entrance. She took a deep breath and entered. The boy was calm at the counter, serving coffees and desserts to some customers. Izuku, welcome to Heroic Mouse, Kyoka-san. He smiled at the girl, who felt all her doubts dissipate. Kyoka, I need to talk to you. The words came out on their own. Izuku, sure. He didn't seem very affected or nervous, which made her nervous. I'm here for whatever you need, Kyoka-san. Kyoka, I'm glad to hear that. Her joy was contagious for a change. Momo was the one who followed the pink-haired girl to the cafe. She understood that her friend stepped aside to let her think, but knowing Kyoka well, she was nervous about even seeing the freckled guy. There was a fear that their friendship might break because of her friend's nonsense. Upon entering the cafe, she hoped to find her friend in a corner with the cat in her hands, wearing the worst expression on her face. Contrary to that, she saw them chatting as usual. The pink-haired girl even took a picture with the freckled guy before continuing the conversation. It was reassuring to see that nothing had changed between them. Izuku, oh. Ya Momo, hi. The freckled guy seemed much happier than usual. Momo, hello, Midoriya-san. She approached the counter, feeling a bit dazed. Izuku, are you okay? You seem confused. The girl nodded slowly. Momo, I thought that. She looked at her friend, who smirked at her. Kyoka, that I would fight with Izuku and distance myself from him? Come on, Ya Momo, you have so little faith in me. The black-haired girl exposed herself, feeling embarrassed. Momo, well, you seemed so tense today, and... well, I thought you too. The freckled guy smiled before gently stroking her hair. Izuku, everything is fine, Ya Momo. We've sorted this out. The black-haired girl sighed in relief. Momo, what happened? Her friend looked at the freckled guy, who shrugged indifferently. Kyoka, do you really not care if I know, sweetheart? She teased the freckled guy, surprising the pink-haired girl. Momo, sweetheart? She blushed at that nickname. Izuku, you're exaggerating, Ya Momo. We're not a couple. He spoke calmly, and the pink-haired girl smiled. Kyoka, not yet. Her friend looked at her in surprise. Izuku, we agreed that we feel something for each other, but for now. He looked at the pink-haired girl, who was sipping her shake. Kyoka, for now, I feel like all of you will try to snatch him away from me. She accused the black-haired girl, who became nervous. Momo, I don't. This is not. That's. She couldn't even articulate a sentence because of her nervousness. Kyoka, don't worry, Ya Momo. It's what Mina said would happen, and if it doesn't, she will. The freckled guy looked somewhat offended. Izuku, hey, don't talk as if it's easy or as if I want to make every girl who walks through that door fall for me. He defended himself quite well. Kyoka, just give them time, Izuku, and you'll see how they slowly fall into your hands, she said with a grin, leaving the freckled guy puzzled. Izuku, it's not funny. They're our friends, and I wouldn't play with their emotions, let alone make them cry. He crossed his arms indignantly. Kyoka, I know, and I count on that. The guy didn't quite understand. Momo, I'm not going to fight over a guy, Kyoka-san, she spoke seriously to her friend, especially not with my friends. Kyoka, all right. She smiled at her friend, who was about to start an argument. Momo, Kyoka-san, I. Before the discussion could begin, the girls entered the cafe. Mina, Midori-kun. The pink-haired girl caught the freckled guy's attention, rushing towards him. Izuku, hello, Mina-san. How did it go? He spoke kindly to the girl who smiled. Mina, pretty well. She looked very cheerful at the freckled guy. We now know how to stop your flirting. Her friends looked surprised. Kendo, we do? She asked the brunette, who shrugged. Mina, yes, the major problem is when he's here, so as long as we're with you, we can keep him in check. She proudly revealed her plan. Kendo, I don't know. She wasn't very convincing. Oh Chako, you know we have work, and Kyoka-san and Ya Momo have things to do. She excused her friends, making the pink-haired girl tense. Mina, but you and I are here, so we can handle this. She tried to convince her friends. Oh Chako, you know how busy we are, we couldn't. She refuted the pink-haired girl. Mina, well, I'm out of ideas. She collapsed in front of her friends. Izuku, don't worry, Mina-san. You'll come up with something. Luckily, the green-haired guy was there to calm her worries. Mina, at least Midori-kun is here to support me. The freckled guy smiled tensely. Even for him, that idea seemed completely crazy. Anyway, if you come up with something, we'll be here. With that, she entered the kitchen to get her uniform. Oh Chako, Mina-san is really enthusiastic about this, she murmured before entering the kitchen as well. Izuku, what do you two want? He spoke kindly to both. Momo, oh, can I please have a tea? You know how I like it. She smiled at the guy, who nodded. Kendo, today, I want pie, it's been a while since I had a slice. The freckled guy nodded to go get the orders. The day was quite calm. Kyoka finally felt completely at peace with the whole situation with the green-haired guy, while Momo analyzed what the guy was doing all the time. She couldn't see how she could fight her friends over a guy, it sounded completely absurd, especially since it was Izuku. He would probably stop them if they started arguing over him. She didn't like the idea of a toxic atmosphere. After watching the green-haired guy for a while, she realized something she had ignored until now, perhaps because of what she learned about him on their date. She had a kind of solution to the guy's unintentional flirting. Kyoka, so, do you have the answer now? Her friend nodded, finishing her review. The final exams were approaching. Momo, it's quite simple, actually, and I don't know why we didn't think of it before, but... She looked at the green-haired guy attending to a couple of girls in the cafe. What if we teach him? Kendo, teach him what? Not to flirt? The girl seemed indecisive. Momo, rather, the opposite. Her friends looked at her strangely. If we teach him to flirt, he'll understand when to stop and which words to choose. It's simple logic. Her reasoning seemed quite sensible. Kendo, I don't know. It might end badly, you know? We already find him incredibly adorable, and his flirting might affect us. Are you sure about this? The black-haired girl nodded. Momo, Kyoka-san says we'll fall for him anyway, so it doesn't matter. Whether it happens or not, it's the optimal move. Teach him to flirt and let him practice with us, who know him well. The redhead sighed. Kendo, and how will we do it? We don't have much time either. The black-haired girl smiled. Momo, wouldn't you like to go out with him once more? The redhead blushed at that. Kyoka, enchant him back and, in the process, teach him. You're amazing, Momo. The black-haired girl smiled with excitement. Let's do it, she declared with enthusiasm. Momo, all right, the understanding plan can begin, she declared with determination. In the mansion's room, she was fixing some notes for a pretty good study. Her final exams were approaching, and some classmates had asked for help studying. So, she found herself late at night preparing for a study session at home. She had considered doing it at Izuku's cafe, but she understood that her classmates would easily get distracted there. It was better for them to come to her house. Momo? What are you doing up so late? Her mother appeared, surprised. Momo nodded, remember I told you about my study session? Her mother sat next to her. I'm finishing things up for that. Being at the cafe took longer than expected. Lately, you spend a lot of time at that cafe. Her mother questioned, making her daughter nervous, confirming some suspicions. Sweetie, do you have something to tell me? I get it if you don't want your dad to know, but... Mama, it's not what you think. Momo tried to calm herself. Not what I think? You disappear to a cafe every afternoon after school at an age when it's normal to have a secret relationship from your parents. I understand, your father and I did the same, dear. Her daughter blushed at her words. Mama. Her mother looked at her strangely. It's not what you think, although it does involve a guy, she mumbled, giving some credence to her mother. What's going on, dear? Her daughter sighed to calm herself. I go to that cafe a lot because it's a good place. Kyoka-san showed me where it was, and lately, I've been going a lot because the owner, who is my friend, has a little problem. She spoke with embarrassment. It doesn't seem like a small problem from how worked up you get, caught in the act. He's not very good at socializing, and my friends and I are trying to teach him, she summarized as much as possible. I see. And it seems like you have feelings for him, her daughter blushed again at just that. Looks like I hit the mark, she said with humor. Well. He's very nice and a good person, but I'm not the only one who has their eyes on him. That part depressed her a bit. She didn't want to fight with her friends for the freckled guy's heart. So, someone else is going after someone you like, huh? Her daughter nodded with regret. Relax, dear, you'll figure things out. I hope so. I don't want to fight for someone's love, just thinking about it made her feel bad. There are many ways to fight, dear, not just with fists. And if you're fighting someone you know, sometimes all it takes is a conversation. Her daughter sighed with regret, not knowing what to think. She needed more understanding, and she knew how to get it. She just had to get through this week and the next with exams before she could do that. So, she would focus on helping her classmates at the moment. With those end-of-term exams, Izuku knew he wouldn't have his employees in the afternoons. They would be studying for that decisive moment that was so challenging for them. Therefore, He would need help. Even though it seemed like a terrible idea since the girl hadn't interacted much with people outside, he had to take the risk, with the police's permission, of course. Himiko would come to help him all day, with a police officer nearby in case something went wrong. It would be a good change of pace for the blonde. Not just being bored at home, she could help the freckled guy a lot and enjoy his delicious desserts, all gains, of course. What am I supposed to do? Himiko spoke excitedly, even falling asleep in the uniform the freckled guy had given her. I don't want many incidents, and since you're not completely well yet, you'll be at the counter just taking orders. The blonde nodded with the cat in her hands. What are you doing to Cookie? It's the first time I've seen him in a uniform, and he's adorable. She rubbed her cheek against the cat, who didn't do anything to stop her. You can pet him all day. Are you ready? The girl nodded with a giant smile and extreme excitement. Remember what I told you last night? Totally, the prices and the names of things. I'll make an effort not to disappoint the green-haired guy. So, he opened his cafe very early, much to Himiko's surprise. She honestly thought the freckled guy would be opening at the normal time like other places. To add to her surprise, there were customers at that hour, which, from the freckled guy's perspective, was a test for her. The final test was the purple-haired girl who came for her morning coffee, of course. Kyoka, Izuku, she arrived with her classic morning laziness that affected her a lot. Do you know about? She stood still, looking at the blonde girl at the counter. Oh, you're the girl who lives with Izuku, right? Himiko, hello, the girl who went out with Izu. How are you? She spoke kindly to the purple-haired girl who approached the counter. Kyoka, very well, this is strange, she said somewhat tense. Himiko, Izuku's employees are taking this week for their exams and studies, so I came to help while they're not here, she spoke with a very cheerful smile. Kyoka, that makes sense. Still, she analyzed the girl from top to bottom. Izuku said you have something to do with the police, does that mean you're dangerous for him? The girl opened her eyes in surprise. Himiko, I'm dangerous for everyone. I'm very crazy, to be honest, and this is done to see what level of control I can have. She lowered her gaze somewhat sadly. Izuku found me in a bad state and reached out to me. His mom is adorable and believes in me. They are the only people who have believed in me without ulterior motives. I want to repay them by showing that I can improve, she spoke with conviction. Kyoka, do you think you can handle this? The girl looked at her confused. There are many people who are Izuku's customers. Can you restrain yourself with so many people? The girl nodded. Himiko, I'm medicated to calm down, so I doubt it'll affect me. But if I start to feel very overwhelmed, I know Izu will be there for me. She smiled when she thought of the boy. He treats me like his little sister even though I'm older than him. She pouted at that thought. Kyoka, that's Izuku for you, she said with a smile. He's a good guy who helps everyone. And if he believes in you, there's no need to fear. He has an eye for these things, bringing out good things from bad situations and all that. She smiled, remembering the freckled guy's qualities. Anyway, we'll come this afternoon with some friends. If anything happens, we're nearby, okay? Himiko, thanks for the vote of confidence, she smiled at the girl who nodded. Kyoka, anyway, can you bring me a coffee? I want to be quite awake for the first 3 hours, the blonde nodded. Himiko, you heard her, she shouted to the freckled guy who was in the kitchen. Izuku, on the way, he shouted back. This duo didn't seem to be going wrong. Her friends were very busy studying for their exams. She should be doing the same, but her mind was so tired that she honestly wanted a break, at least for a few hours. There was too much theory, too many workouts, and too many arguments because of her classmate. It's not like she was the focus of these absurdities, but they did affect her a bit, making them totally exhausting. So, after the school day, she went alone to the place Kendo told them about to relax. She wanted to be with that cat again and talk to Izuku. So, there she was in front of the cafe, a bit nervous about coming alone. She would love for a friend to accompany her, but that wasn't the case. She had to gather courage and enter the cafe all by herself. Himiko, welcome to the heroic mouse, she said with her usual cheerfulness. Fortunately, due to the exam season, the number of people had decreased. What can I get you? The brunette. Kanoko, she seemed quite nervous about this decision. Izuku, oh, Kanoko-san, to her surprise, the green-haired guy was the waiter. Kanoko, hello, Midoriya-san. Her nerves seemed to vanish with that. Himiko, another girl? She pouted at her friend, who smiled tensely. Izuku, it's not what you think. The blonde didn't believe him. Himiko, sure, and the sky is red, she narrowed her eyes, not buying it. Izuku, seriously? The blonde still didn't believe him. Kanoko, what's going on here? She felt a bit overwhelmed by this conversation, in which she seemed to be the center of attention. Izuku, anyway, keep working, or you won't get cookies later. The blonde gave him a dirty look for a bit longer before going back to the register. Would you like a table? Kanoko, this time I'm alone, so I'll stay here, thank you. She smiled kindly before sitting at the bar. Izuku, understood. The guy left. Meow, the cat sniffed since the girl arrived and liked that smell a lot, so it stayed in front of the brunette, who smiled at it. Kanoko, hello, little one, she stroked its head, and the cat did its best to get as many pets as possible. Himiko, are you ready to order? The brunette focused on the blonde before the cat. Kanoko, a coffee is fine, something mild, and some cookies, please. She looked at the cat and decided, make them endeavors. Himiko, you know what the furry one likes, huh? She teased the cat, who was in its world of caresses. Kanoko, yes, she continued petting the cat, who slowly got brave enough to go to its favorite sleeping spot, her thighs. Hey, once it reached its destination, it settled in the best position to sleep for a few hours. Himiko, furry cat, she murmured, watching Cookie hog the girl. Anyway, your order is on the way. She stepped away for a moment to talk to her friend. Her order arrived quickly, and with that, her moment of peace. It wasn't the same as being with her friends, but it was something. Finally, she could put aside the worry about exams for a bit to be with a cat and watch TV for a few hours. It was interesting to see this new employee chat with the green-haired guy. It was quite funny to see their fights that always ended with the girl apologizing and then asking for help with something she didn't understand. Izuku, it's been a quiet day. It was only 4 in the afternoon, and there were hardly any people in the shop, so he could take a short break. Kanoko, definitely, the girl had been there with the cat in her lap. Izuku, don't you have a problem with Gietta taking up so much of your time? He's a bit clingy. The girl smiled at the cat, who was still sleeping. Kanoko, I'm fine, he behaves very well. She stroked the cat, which settled in for more cuddles. Izuku, it's incredible how spoiled he is, he muttered, looking at the cat, making the girl laugh. Kanoko, he's a cat, you can't expect much. She smiled at the cat. Izuku, I'm surprised someone from UA is here with all the exams going on. I thought everyone would be busy with that. The girl looked at him a bit tensely. Kanoko, it's been a week already, and honestly, I just want to rest a bit. I don't want to get too nervous when the exams come. She made a slightly sad face. My friends are busy, so I came alone. Izuku, I understand, he smiled at the girl. Thanks for choosing this place over others. Kanoko, I know the owner, and I can say it's a good place. She joked a bit with the green-haired guy, who chuckled. Izuku, thanks, really. And by the way, thanks for the other time, the salmon was exquisite. The brunette smiled at him. Kanoko, it's the way my mom prepares it. She always told me it's the best way to cook salmon, and it might be one of the only things I can do in the kitchen. The freckled guy smiled at the girl. Himiko, wait, did you learn to cook salmon from her? She abruptly joined the conversation. Izuku, that's right. I ran into her while shopping, and she recommended how to do things. The blonde looked at him with much excitement. Himiko, you're amazing. Your recipe was so great that she had to make more dishes because of the delicious taste. The girl showed some redness on her face, she wasn't used to this level of attention. Kanoko, it's nothing. She felt quite good being thanked so enthusiastically. Himiko, for me, she has the advantage. She commented to the freckled guy, who sighed. Kanoko, huh? She didn't understand what was happening. Izuku, it's not a competition, Himi-chan, and I've barely talked to Kanoko-san. The blonde gave 2 thumbs down. Himiko, boo. She left when a customer arrived. Kanoko, what was she referring to? The freckled guy sighed, thinking about his words. Izuku, Mina-san along with Kendo-san and other friends are trying to do something, and for that, I had to go on dates with them. The brunette looked nervous. Since then, they say they're in a competition for my heart, and that. Kanoko, and is it true? She asked somewhat nervously. Izuku, it's not. They just wanted to do research in which I was the main focus. A couple of misunderstandings, that's all. He concluded calmly. Kanoko, I see, it sounded quite interesting. What were they investigating? She was curious about the matter. Izuku, I tend to be something special when I interact with people, and they wanted to see how I can control this. Mina-san probably has more details, but in a nutshell, that's it. The girl understood. Kanoko, I understand, she smiled at the guy. I hope they can control it. The freckled guy smiled back. Izuku, honestly, I want to see how far they go. Their effort is incredibly amazing. I just hope this little research job doesn't distract them too much from their studies. He admired the girls a lot and their conviction. Kirishima stood in front of the Bakugo family's house. He honestly didn't want to add more pressure to Yamomo with everyone joining her study group. It wouldn't be helpful, especially with someone smart from their class here. Adding to that, there was the idea of cheering up his friend after his expulsion, the news of the week. Mitsuki, who's there? A blonde woman, reminiscent of his friend, opened the door. Kirishima, hi, I'm Kirishima Eijiro, and I'm looking for Bakugo Katsuki. The woman looked surprised, making the redhead a bit nervous. Mitsuki, does he owe you something, or did he do something to you, kid? She asked, knowing her son well. Kirishima, what? No, I just want to talk to him, please. The woman sighed in relief. Mitsuki, I doubt he'll want to talk right now. He's holed up like a hermit and doesn't want to see anyone. The only time he comes out is for dessert, and even then, it's a struggle. Kirishima, can I try? I'm his friend, and, the woman looked surprised. She didn't expect her son's tough exterior to have friends. Mitsuki, you don't need to say anything else. She stepped aside, inviting the redhead in. Although, I doubt he'll listen to anyone. His mind is so wrapped up in himself that I don't think he'll hear you. Kirishima, still, I'll try. He spoke seriously. I know what it feels like to be alone and defeated. I won't let someone fall like that. The woman smiled. Mitsuki, up the stairs, second door on the right. The redhead nodded with some nervousness. Would you like some tea? Kirishima, thank you, Mrs. Bakugo. He smiled tensely before climbing the stairs. Mitsuki didn't expect much from this boy. Her son was stubborn, much more than she was at his age, and a boy he met a few months ago wouldn't pull him out of the pit he threw himself into. He might surprise her and get Katsuki out of his hideout. In that case, she would be glad. Mitsuki had tried for many days to make him react, to talk to him, but the walls Katsuki had built with his parents were so high and thick that they couldn't penetrate his mind. Masaru still tried to cheer his son up in his own way. He couldn't apply the same approach he used with Izuku because his son was too proud, and seeing him do fatherson things would be embarrassing. Kirishima, Bakugo, it's me. He knocked on the door with some fear, not knowing what to expect from the blonde on the other side. Katsuki, go away. His voice came through the wood, lacking any enthusiasm. Kirishima, seriously, are you going to fall apart just because you got expelled? He hadn't planned his speech but had a pretty bad plan to get the blonde out. Katsuki, he didn't want to argue, he was completely defeated. Not even Deku, the idiot, could fall as low as he did at the moment, and that depressed him even more. Kirishima, listen, man, you can still be a hero. UA isn't the only hero academy in the country, there are many others that are very good, and, before he could continue, a noise came from the other side. Katsuki, shut up. UA was all I wanted. It was my damn ticket to being number one, my ticket to surpassing All Might, he exploded, which was rare for him. Kirishima, come on, Bakugo, seriously, there's much more in UA, other schools. Katsuki, I don't give a damn about other schools. UA has the best of the best. I wasn't going to go to another school to be a damn useless with a shitty quirk like you. The redhead was somewhat stunned by this. Kirishima, come on, man, you don't have to get mad at me. I wasn't at fault for anything. He excused himself as best as he could. Katsuki, of course, you were. All you damn idiots were at fault. If you had the slightest brain to follow a damn order because that's the only thing you're good for, none of this would happen. He blamed the redhead, who was starting to get angry. Kirishima, seriously, are you going to play the victim in all this? After flying through the air in every training just because you didn't want to follow a simple order from the teacher? Surprisingly, he was getting under Katsuki's skin. Katsuki, my ideas are much better than that drugged idiot's, he shouted again. Kirishima, hey, sensei always, before he could continue, he felt a hand on his shoulder. Mrs. Bakugo? Mitsuki, that's enough, kid. She looked at the boy seriously and then at the door. You won't get him out. The redhead wanted to deny it but was pushed down to the living room. Kirishima, why is he like this? I wanted to help him, and he insults me. The woman placed a cup of tea in front of the boy. Thank you very much. Mitsuki, Katsuki has always been difficult even for me. His ego is so inflated that he won't admit it was his mistake until he really hits rock bottom. She sighed, disappointed in her son. I'm sorry he treated you like that. Kirishima, I just wanted to help him. He clenched his fists tightly after drinking his tea. I don't like seeing people alone, I know what it feels like, and I really thought that if I got close to him and became his friend, he wouldn't have such a hard time at UA. Mitsuki, my foolish son has a special talent for pushing good people away from him, she commented with sadness. At one point, he distanced himself from a very good guy they were inseparable with, almost like brothers. Kirishima, did he treat him badly too? The woman nodded. Mitsuki, despite being very close, Katsuki always let himself be influenced by what others had to say, and since the boy is special, she lowered her gaze, and the redhead understood. Now he's pushing you away, assuming you're the only one he had at UA. Kirishima, he's not very good at being sociable. He teased the blonde, making the woman laugh. Mitsuki, let him drop more if you can. At some point, he'll realize what he lost, and then he'll genuinely regret it. The redhead made a face. Kirishima, I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do. Still, he was treated horribly. But I guess that's what needs to happen. He sighed, standing up. Thanks for the tea and your time, Mrs. Bakugo. He bowed to the woman, who accompanied him to the door. Mitsuki, Katsuki was lucky to have you, you know? The redhead scratched his head with embarrassment. Too bad he's so stubborn. Kirishima, still, I trust that he'll find his way out of this. He spoke with a dazzling smile. Mitsuki, thank you for getting involved in his life. With that said, the redhead left. He needed to find someone to explain the topics to him to make sure he wouldn't be the next one to be expelled, and he wasn't going to allow that after so much effort. She felt really tired. The day was good with her friends, she organized them as best as possible to learn everything they hadn't understood in class. She liked being a teacher and solving problems for her friends, but it was exhausting. Teaching Kaminari and Mina took a long time, they tended to get distracted, and their understanding was slower. Overall, the experience was quite enjoyable despite her exhaustion. She could sleep peacefully if it weren't for her mother waiting for her with a cup of her favorite tea and a teasing look. The conversation was headed in a clear direction, and it was evident her mother wouldn't let her go until things were clarified. Well? Her mother patiently waited for her daughter to finish enjoying her tea. Momo played dumb, which didn't work. Well, what? She asked. Darling, that boy. I know you've been thinking about what to do. Her daughter sighed. How do you read me so easily? Momo asked. Because you have that look of excitement that I had for your father. Her daughter blushed but didn't deny anything. Mom, we've only been out once, and we barely see each other in the afternoons, she said nervously. It takes less than that to fall in love, dear. Sometimes all it takes is one date to confirm the affection you want to profess. Besides, it's the first time I've seen you so radiant. Oh God, Momo sighed to relax. So, what's the plan? Her daughter nervously sipped her tea. I don't know if what I feel is love, she continued doubting, mostly because she was in love with someone who was in love with her friend. I want to confirm that, so I've decided I need more information. And how do you plan to get it? Infiltrate his school? Her daughter looked surprised and confused. No, Mom, I don't even know if he goes to school, she murmured, surprising her mother. Momo, don't tell me you're dating a bad boy? It would be a good variation for her life, but it was still worrying if it turned out she was being used. Not at all, Mom. He's the sweetest and most adorable guy in the world, she explained, causing a smile in her mother. The thing is, he has a cafe, and... You want to work there? Her daughter nodded her head down. Aw, dear, that's incredibly sweet. I feel that if I spend more time with him, I'll clarify these feelings and avoid misunderstandings and arguments, she explained. Her mother smiled. It sounds like a good plan. If you want advice on the job, I can give you some. She smiled at her daughter, who looked at her with excitement. Did you work in a cafe? Her eyes sparkled like a little girl, melting her mother with love. Where do you think I met your father? Her daughter looked at her with even more excitement. I used to go every afternoon and spend hours ordering coffee. It was fun to see him speechless from nerves. Even today, Yaoyorozu's wife could put her husband in a bind with a couple of words. Still determined, she felt somewhat nervous about her decision. She didn't think her reasons for asking for the job were good, but she had to be true to her plan and ask the freckled guy for a job. Only then would this weight on her shoulders go away. Kirishima, hey, Yamomo, I was wondering if, the raven-haired girl snapped out of her mental rambling, she was getting carried away. Momo, I'm sorry, Kirishima-san, I need to do something. She had completely forgotten that she had to talk to Aizawa about filling the gap Bakugo left in the class. Kirishima, I understand. Maybe later. He smiled awkwardly at the girl, understanding that she was busy being the class president. He'd ask for help with his studies later. He really didn't want to burden the raven-haired girl, but he was genuinely struggling to grasp certain topics in some subjects. He was desperate to get through the semester, he had worked hard to get into UA, and now he had to work hard to stay in the hero course. Still, he understood if Yamomo didn't want to help, he would find another way to study and pass. Momo, oh God, it's been such a heavy day. At the end of her school day, she was exhausted. Staying focused in class and not getting lost in the possibilities of her new nearby goal was difficult. A cup of tea would do her good right about now. Kirishima, Yamomo, the raven-haired girl turned to see the red-haired guy approaching quickly. Wait, I need your help. She looked at him with surprise. Momo, is something wrong, Kirishima-san? Her number one concern was always her classmates. Kirishima, I'm sorry if I'm bothering you with this request, but could you help me study? The girl was very happy with this. I know you might be busy, and I know I could have come with the others to your house to study yesterday, but there were so many, and I didn't want to be an extra burden, and, the raven-haired girl gestured for him to be silent with a hand. Momo, you would never be a burden, Kirishima-san. You're a good friend, and I'll gladly help you study. The red-haired guy could now breathe in peace with this. Kirishima, thanks. He sighed more calmly. There's a cafe nearby, we can go there if you want. He spoke in his usual tone. Momo, actually, I was heading there. A cup of tea would do me good. So, both friends went to the Hero Mouse. Maybe it wasn't the day to ask for a job, but it was for a good reason, to help a friend understand difficult study topics. No one said how challenging a couple of numbers with letters could be, it was confusing even for her in certain cases. Himiko, welcome to the Hero Mouse, as her friend recommended, she greeted the new customers cheerfully. Momo, hi, Mito, she stood still, looking at the blonde behind the counter. Himiko, oh, are you looking for Izu? He's in the kitchen. Why not sit and think about what to eat while he finishes? She recommended friendly. Momo, thank you. The red-haired guy beside her didn't know what was happening. Kirishima, is something wrong, Yamomo? The raven-haired girl seemed to react, shaking her head. Momo, nothing, just that the girl is new, and it surprised me. She approached a table, and along with the red-haired guy, they sat down. Himiko, I'll only be here until you finish your exams. The boss gave you the week to focus on studying. She explained without further ado. Momo, I appreciate your understanding. The blonde smiled, encouraged by that. So, what do you want me to explain, Kirishima-san? Kirishima, can we start with calculus? I'm not very good with numbers. He admitted, embarrassed. The girl nodded, and at that moment, the freckled guy came out with 2 trays in his hands and one on his head. Izuku, huh? He looked at the table, finding the raven-haired girl. Hi, Yamomo, I'll be with you in a moment. Without further ado, he put a tray on a table and then went to a window. Kirishima, how cool, the way he worked was absurdly incredible for the red-haired guy. Momo, that's him. She smiled, looking at the freckled guy when she felt something on her legs. Cookie? Cat, meow, the cat settled on the girl's thighs, demanding affection. Kirishima, the last time I came, there was no cat. The cat and how comfortable it looked were incredibly amazing. Momo, it's a sleepy cat, and it's not essential right now. Focus, Kirishima-san. The red-haired guy nodded nervously, it was going to be a long afternoon.